Good afternoon. How you doing today?
Fine, how you doing?
I'm doing good. What is your name?
Mattie Johnson.
Marion Johnson.
They call me Mattie.
Mattie. Big Mattie, right? Okay. Mattie, what is your favorite hymn?
What a friend we have in Jesus.
What's your favorite food you like?
Fried potatoes, fish, and cornbread.
Nice Southern food menu. Mrs. Mattie, what was your father's name?
Joseph Johnson.
Joseph Johnson. And what was your mother's name?
Emma Maynard Johnson.
And what year were you born?
1925.
You're 91 years old?
Yeah.
Do you remember how old your father would be right now?
I think 108 or something like that.
Okay, that's how old it would be. How many brothers and sisters did you have?
Altogether was 14 of us.
14. How many boys and how many girls?
There were 5 girls.
5 girls. What was the name of the girls?
Jeanette, Helen, Doris, Emma, and Mattie.
Okay. And how many boys was it?
There were Charlie, Edward, Milbert, Kenneth, Bowser, and Calvin. Did I say Ernest?
No, you didn't say Ernest. Okay. So y'all had a house full, huh? So, how many are left now out of you and your siblings?
Only me and my sister Doris.
Words of encouragement every time that I talk to her. And I would talk to her often on the phone. She lived in Delaware, Seaford, Delaware, and you have to go across the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. And I don't drive across that bridge. Got a lot of faith though. But, she would always say to me that, James, she says, when we hang up the phone, I would say, well, Aunt Doris, I love you. And her response was, I love you more. Yeah. And that was one of the things she always talked about. She could remember people that she had 14, there were 14 of them. My mother was the youngest. And out of the 14, she can remember when they were born and when they died, including her mother and her father and great-great-grandparents as well. She had a mind that was right up until the time she passed. That was really, really remarkable. She did a great job with her grandchildren as well. Kevin, has been there with her.
So did everybody pass away at an old age?
No. I think the oldest one was 80. That was Uncle Bowser.
Uncle Bowser?
All the rest of them passed away at a young age.
Did anybody pass away at a real young age?
No. Only my two sisters. One got brought up in a house fire, the other one had some kind of disease.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And did we mention William Earl? Did William Earl die at birth?
Yeah.
So, Miss Mattie, how many kids did you have?
I had 9.
How many girls and how many boys?
5 boys and 4 girls.
What's the name of your girls?
Mary, Mattie, Mildred, and Edna.
And the name of your boys?
Calvin, William, David, Thomas, and John.
Okay. Let's start with the boys first. Thomas, what kind of person was Thomas growing up as a young boy?
He was a quiet boy.
Yeah.
Went to high school, played football
Mm-hmm.
on a wrestling team.
Mm-hmm.
So he was quiet.
So Thomas was kind of a quiet type of guy.
Yeah.
Was any of your boys in the service?
Yes, Thomas graduated from high school, went in the Air Force.
Okay. And did he make it out successful?
No, he come down with a brain tumor,
Oh, yeah?
and he had to get out.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, he was going to make a career.
Okay.
What? Mother said 1980. Why you gonna put that on? Anyway, went to see Mama. Because I've been buzzed up for the last 3 days. Tried to be the first one down there. Had a seizure on the porch. She couldn't open the door. She had to go out the back door, out the back window. She said, Mama had to climb out the window to come back around to see me after she called 911. And wake me up. I didn't even know nothing. But she couldn't get out the front door because I was blocking the door.
Oh, you
I
had fell
passed
out?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she had to climb out her window to go around.
Wow.
She remember too, don't you? On Mother's Day, I think I was like Like 25.
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
How was Johnny coming up?
Johnny was a little slow coming up,
Yeah,
but he made it through high school, special class.
yeah. How was William? William.
Oh, William was small as a tick.
Yeah.
Yeah, he made up his mind that he was going to go in the army when he got to high school. That's what he did when in the army.
Now William, he moved to.
South Carolina. Well, he was shifted around, in the army. But his last place was South Carolina. That's where he met his sweetheart and got married.
Of a young girl making love.
Okay. So, did William pass away?
Yes, William passed away.
How many years ago was that?
I guess 4 or 5 years ago.
How was David Jones growing up?
Well, David was all right growing up. He went through high school too, but if he come out, he decided to just piddle around and pick up jobs anywhere he could.
Dave,
Yeah.
you the youngest child?
Hell no. You know damn well Growler and Tommy both and Johnny both, all three of them younger than I am.
So you're not the oldest, is you?
Hell no. Francis the oldest, then Denton next to her. Now Calvin the oldest. Then it's Francis, then it's Denton, then it's Mildred, then it's Bubba, and then it's me. And it's Tommy, Edna, and Johnny's younger than I am.
When y'all was growing up, what y'all used to eat?
Shit, Paul, we eat mush, cabbage, or beans most of the time for on the weekend. That was big days. We ain't had no goddamn pork chop, no steaks and stuff like that. We ate real poor.
Yeah.
String beans, and Mama used to can all kind of stuff during the summertime for the winter. Why you asking that? Didn't you, baby, tell you that? Why?
And what Nana used to work at?
Mama done was working in people's houses, but sometimes she did just work in backfield, always working backfield together. Oh, except Edna, the rest of us just did.
Yeah. Okay, let's get back to the girls. How was Mattie growing up?
She was smart as a tick. She got a job and stayed on until she retired. Over 20-some years.
That's good.
Don't act like you forgot. This one had my money. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. This one had my money. Don't act like you forgot. What you owe me. Don't act like you forgot. Come on now, put your money on the bed.
How was Mildred coming up?
Mildred was smart too. She worked for the Board of Education. And then she went from there to the police department, where she just retired from the police department.
And then Sheila, when I worked over there in records,
You know, you were my mentor. You told me how to do things with, you know, the insurance companies, how to take care of the calls and all. And I thank you for educating me when I was there. And I hope I didn't let you down. I hope I made you proud.
How was Edna growing up?
Well, Edna decided to go with the FBI when she graduated. And she stayed there for 30-some years till she retired.
That is good.
Mary. Hey, Emma.
That's the only one I got too, the big face one.
Yeah.
And her.
Come on, run that picture of me, Emma.
That's the probably the same one you got. Send that to my phone, didn't too. They're the same. What is you doing, Rod?
Getting all this Redskin stuff for the documentary. Could let them know you're a Redskin fan. You got everything from the...
You know what?
You a real Redskins
Don't be
fan.
taking
I'm the
pictures
real
of all
Redskins
my
fan
junk.
in the
I'm not.
family.
No, this was... So, Miss Mattie, coming up as a young girl, you grew up in the house with your dad.
Yeah.
And did your mother pass at an early age?
And I was 2 years old.
Oh, you was 2 years old when your mom passed. So your dad raised you. Do you remember where your first house when you were living with your dad?
It was down in Friendship somewhere. Friendship, Maryland.
Friendship, Maryland. That's far as back as you can remember.
Mm-hmm.
So as you got older, when you left your dad's house, where did you live?
That's when I went to live with my brother Basil. My father moved out the house, and we took the house over. My brother Basil.
So you and your brother took the house over?
Yeah, him and his wife and 2 children.
What was his first child's name?
My brother Basil.
Yes.
Alice.
Alice was his first child? Mm-hmm. And what was his wife's name?
Lucille.
Lucille. At that time, when you were living with your brother, what was the name of your kids that was born? Who was your first?
Calvin and Francis.
Calvin and Francis was your first child? And from there, where did you move?
From there, I moved with my sister Emma.
With your sister Emma? And who was born at that time?
Mattie.
She was the only one that was born at that time. Who was your oldest child?
Calvin.
Calvin was the oldest. Who was your youngest child?
Johnny.
Johnny. Oldest boy and youngest boy. From living with your sister Emma, is she still alive?
No.
She passed away.
Yeah.
I hear something saying.
So Miss Mattie, growing up with raising 9 children, how was it like far as feeding the kids?
Well, by the time that Mattie got older, I had met a study boyfriend, and that's when I had more children. I finally moved into a big farmhouse where he was a sharecropper, raised tobacco. And we did pretty good. He had a garden. He raised all kinds of sweet potatoes, white potatoes, tomatoes, and we raised most of our food. We raised pigs, killed hogs. So we did pretty good on the living process with the children.
So the food was pretty healthy because it was food from the earth.
Huh?
The food was pretty healthy because it was natural food from the earth.
Yes, it was.
I guess that's why you look so good at your age. Now
We had garden. We raised our own pigs and chickens. Got our own eggs. And that's when I had John, Thomas, Edna, William, and David. And we lived pretty good.
God is good. Far as electric and running water, how was that?
We had electric, but we didn't have running water in the house. We had a pump in the backyard where you pump your water and bring it inside. Because we didn't have water in, but we did have electricity.
So you did have electricity.
Yeah.
That was in. What about your old house? Did you have electricity in your old house?
Not the one that I was living in before I moved in, the big house, we call it.
Okay.
The old house, little small old house, didn't have no electricity. So I used kerosene lamps. Kerosene also to cook on. And that's how I made it. We wasn't there but 2 years and we moved in a big farmhouse where we raised tobacco. It was a sharecropper.
Okay. Did you ever work for anybody in the area?
Yeah, that's all I did was days work. Cleaned houses, washed and ironed. I didn't do any cooking for nobody. I would clean houses.
Okay. And what area was this in?
The Traces Landing. It was so close that I walked to work and walked home.
And what road was that on?
Franklin Gibson Road.
Do you remember any snowy days, real bad weather?
Yes.
You had to go to work?
Yes.
Could you recall any of them?
I had to walk home, walk back.
So the same thing with the kids. Going to school, they had to walk in the snow. How long do you think that was? How many miles?
Oh, what for the children or me?
For the children.
Oh, they did that, I guess, about 6 months until one of the neighbors went to the school board and told him because the black children couldn't ride the white children's school bus. And he went before the school board and told them about this, how our black children had to walk the same distance that the bus went, but my children had to walk to the bus, to the half a mile to the bus stop. So they seen that my children got on the same bus that the white children got on. And they all rode together.
So during these times, it was segregation?
Yes.
Could you go into white stores at this time?
I could go in the stores, but not the restaurants.
So you could go into the stores, but not the restaurants?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to go around the back to the restaurants, knock on the door, and they serve, you stand outside until they get your food ready and they serve it through the window.
Did you have any white friends that used to come and make sure that the kids and you were okay?
Yes. Especially the holiday, like Christmas time and Thanksgiving time, they'd Always be a basket for the children.
Okay.
Someday at Christmas, men won't.
So, Miss Mattie, what kind of person was your father raising you at a early age, at a young age?
He was tough on us, though. He lived on a farm where we raised tobacco and corn, and we had to help in tobacco field, help in the corn field, help strip tobacco. And when the tobacco was sold, we got our little share out of the ground leaves, they used to call them. That was the leaves that fall off the tobacco in the field. And we could gather them up and tie them up and ship them, and that money went to us. But he had a nice old 6-room farmhouse.
6-room farmhouse?
Yeah, that was on the farm where he rented.
What do you remember what color it was, or was it just wooden?
No, I can't remember even what kind of paint was on it, but I know it was a nice, tight house.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a wood stove in the kitchen where we cooked on, and a wood stove in the living room that we had heat by.
Mm-hmm. So he raised y'all at the best that he could.
Yes, he did.
And he was good at it?
Yeah, after we got older, the boys all left home because they didn't want to work on the farm. 2 of them wouldn't serve. My oldest brother, my youngest brother went in the army.
Mm-hmm.
And he took me out of school in the 4th grade and helped to work on the farm. Me and my oldest sister's daughters, we had to come out of school to help work on the farm.
So y'all got the job done?
Yeah.
And everything.
And Doss, how old you
For
is?
being 100 years old.
I'm 90 years old.
And living
90?
by herself.
Yes,
Her only
90.
daughter died.
A 9 and a 0.
So all she got is her.
Okay. Okay, so your father, Joseph Johnson, was a pretty good man.
Huh?
Your father, Joseph Johnson, was a pretty good man.
Yes, he raised us on the farm. And we did pretty good.
Do you miss him a lot?
Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
That's driving that old Chevrolet up and down the road.
Okay, so he had a Chevrolet?
The kind with the romper seat in the back, what you call him. You don't see them now no more on the Western.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what kind of car it was, but I know it wasn't like these out there now.
Oh, yeah. Times have changed, huh?
Yeah. You had to crack them to get them started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So now, you mentioned the big house. How was the big house, living in the big house?
The big house was nice. It was a big old farmhouse. And that's when I had my last 5 children.
Oh,
and that's where I say we raised chickens, raised our own corn, garden, raised turnips, raised hogs, killed our own hogs, raised chickens, killed our own eggs. We had a nice time living in that big farmhouse.
Now, do you remember how many rooms was in a big house?
Yes, there was 3 bedrooms upstairs and 3 down.
And 3 down? Did y'all have a fireplace?
No, we had a kerosene heater in the living room, 1 in the dining room, and a wood stove in the kitchen, and a gas stove.
How did you wash your clothes?
We had a washing machine, but no running water. We had electricity, but the children had to get the water the night before and fill up the washing machine, fill up the tub for ranch water before they went to school in the morning.
Now, that was one of them old kind of wash machines, right?
No, yeah, that was kind of old until they gave me a brand new. The Social Security, not Social Security, welfare gave me a brand new washing machine, one that you use by electric.
Okay. But before the electric one, what kind was the older type?
They had to put the water in it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. wanted that thing so bad that day, but I didn't have enough money. It's, you know, stand on the floor. You see it when the radios are standing on the floor? In my days, you got a battery that long. I guess it cost for $3 and put that in it. But now they're making them electric. Oh, they are, I think Francis still got one of them. They stand on the floor, but that tall. And they are so pretty.
Like a stereo system?
Yeah.
How you said the wash machine was?
They're round and wooden. And you put the water in, you had a stick that you work back and forth till you get your clothes clean. And she was a white family that had that.
Yeah. What age was you working when that started?
I thought maybe could have worked when I was 11 years old. You know what I made?
What?
$2 a week.
That's it?
And he made me give him one of them.
That was big money back then, wasn't it?
$2 a week.
That's big money, wasn't it?
It didn't get big money.
That was big money back then.
I had to give him one of them.
One of the dollars you had to give
And I
him.
was glad to get it.
What did you spend your money on?
Candy.
Candy? How long did you work in the field?
Oh, we worked in the tobacco field until my father got so he wanted to give up farming. He was getting too old. That's when he gave the farm up. And he bought a small house. And my brother took over the house, the farm that he was farming. And far as I know, after he got so he couldn't farm, he went to another place where he rented a house. And then he wound up living with me because he was sick. And he wound up living with me and my children. I did my best by it.
So you stuck by his side?
Yes, I did. I wasn't going to put him in a nursing home until he really had to go.
How old were you at this time? Do you recall how old you were at this time?
Oh, I was in my 60s.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But he wasn't a papa, wasn't no trouble. I'd take him back and forth to the doctor just like girl would take me. He fixes the meals for me. He'd go back and he had a big chair just like this in his bed in the room for him to sit in. And he got along good.
What was one of his favorite foods that he liked for you to cook?
Oh, Lord, what was that like? Apple jelly, Lord, every time he go to the store, you don't see apple jelly no more in the stores.
Not too much.
He get up one time apple jelly, but he'd eat most anything else you could cook. But he loved apple jelly. It was good. I can't find it no more.
How old was your sister Emma when she passed? 40 years old? Okay. At this time where you were living in separate places?
No, that's when we lived at the big house.
Okay, Emma was living at the big house?
No, I was.
Oh, you was at the big house.
And James brought the children there 1 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, that's the night that Emma passed? How many kids were?
Let's see, there were Jean, Richard, Betty, Patricia, and Gladys. There were 5 of them.
Richard.
You talking about Aunt Bessie?
No.
I'm not talking no ancestors.
She talking about with my grandmother.
Oh,
She talking
okay,
about
okay.
my mother's mother.
Okay. Daddy and me, Bill.
Hey, Richard, what you say Grandpa used to that you did?
She talking about
I used to shave him. Aunt Mattie used to send me over there. You gonna shave Papa this week?
Yeah.
I said, yes, ma'am.
I know it's one way or the other.
I get on my bicycle,
More than once.
take my little satchel,
Mm-hmm.
my clippers in there. Yeah, he's all raised and everything. I take my clippers over there. Grandpapa had hair down here.
What?
Yeah, his hair used to go so long. I would go over there and shave Grandpapa with his razor. He had double-edged Gillette razor blade. And the most screw up stainless steel shavers. I used to shave him. After I finished shaving him, I used to pull the skin tight so I wouldn't cut it.
Yeah.
When it get over like your skin wrinkle, I used to pull the skin up like that so I can shave him real good. Just pull it very tight and shave him real good. After I finish shaving him, then I take my clippers and cut his hair. And Grandpa would tell me, he said, come here, baby boy. Look underneath that mattress over there and the bed mattress. He said, give me that sock out. I said, yeah, sock. I'm like, what a sock for? I tie that sock and put that sock on there and pull a knot out of there. And give me like
Hold on.
give me like $5. I'm there.
I got to go back and self
and shave and cut his hair.
Yeah.
So keep it to yourself now, boy.
Yeah.
So you tell him, keep it to yourself.
And the night that your sister passed, her son brought the rest of the kids to the house.
And asked me would I keep him. And he didn't say if he was going to find a place for him or not. I just kept him. And their father notified the social service that she had passed and I had the children. I had 9 of my own. So I kept him till June or July. This happened in November. Of course, the social service found out. And that's when they came out and gave me a brand new wash machine to help out with the children. And they seen that I got a check for the children, and their father would give them some money, but not enough. They seen that I got money for the children. And I sent them to school. And all of them graduated from high school except Emory. Emory went to Liberty James. I didn't have him. But the rest of them, and then that's when the nurses came out round, but I think it was July, and said I had too many children in the house. And I had to get rid of some of them. So she took Betty, Gladys, Patricia, because I kept Jean and Richard. It was the only 2 that let me have. I kept 2 of them. She took 3 of them, placed them in foster homes. And I kept the other 2 and raised them.
Did you get to visit the other ones?
No, they was way down in Princeton. They were shipping them around everywhere. I don't know why. It was 6 months you find out somebody else had them.
That was very nice for you to take in your sister's kids.
Yeah, I took them in. I couldn't see my sister till outdoors, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Do you still think about your sister that passed?
Oh, my Lord, yeah. Her and I was real close. I often look in the mirror and see myself looking like her. You seen that one picture of her.
Yeah.
I often look in the mirror and see myself looking like her.
Out of all of her kids, who do you think looks like her the most?
I couldn't really tell you. I think Gladys got a heavy voice like her mother had. But They weren't bad children at all. Richard was kind of a little slow, but he managed to get through school. Him and Johnny became real close friends when I had him. But I did the best I could with mine and to try to raise him too.
How did you feel at that time, and how did the children respond?
Well, it was all right because they were sleeping on top of each other. You know, jammed in beds, and there were 5 more children with 9. I really had to make room for them. So I went on with the flow. But they really did help me with those children. They found homes for all of them. There were two girls was together. I remember that, Prince Frederick. Then the youngest girl was up in Glen Burnie. Not Glen Burnie. She was in Annapolis. Somebody had Gladys. I don't know who these people was had Gladys, but they was in Annapolis. And Patricia and Betty was at the same house. James took Emory in. And Lawrence, somebody took Lawrence. I don't know, I can't remember that far back. But they all had decent places to stay. In them days, people was getting not as much money as they get now, but they were getting money to take children in. But now, I mean, they're getting all kind of money for foster children.
It's a big change now.
Mm-hmm. Their daughter said she couldn't do it.
She probably she didn't have the patience.
No, she didn't. Their daughter didn't have no patience.
Yeah.
But I had been used to it because I had my 9, and I know putting 5 more with them 9, and you know they all could get along together.
Mm-hmm. You was a strong woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much did the children help out around the house?
Oh, they did pretty good around there. They took care of their own laundry, and they did pretty good. And they are pretty close today, you know. Poor John and Richard, just like 2 brothers.
Yeah, that's good. How long have you been in South County?
Oh, God. How old are your mother?
68.
68. I moved in Anne Arundel County. I was living there before your mother was born in Anne Arundel County.
So you never experienced the city life?
No.
Never been?
No.
Out of your kids, who else hasn't experienced the city life?
Nobody but Johnny.
So it's just you and your son Johnny has never experienced the city life?
Oh.
Interesting.
Okay, well.
You ain't gotta do more and put batteries in it. That goddamn Doug over there is a trick.
Who's that on this picture right here? Who's that in that picture?
Who is it?
Yeah.
It's me. And boy, I took an what's it called with? Boy, I work with.
Oh, okay.
Get this damn phone. Where the hell did I put it? Oh, okay. All right.
You ready to go down?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
My father went there, man, school. Yeah, it's not well. It's all this stuff. Once you get out of this marina, all that over there is Mercedes property, man. She took care of mama good. On that corner, let me let you know this. If not for her, I may not be alive. But Miss Edna gave mama the right to that corner house when she hit me in Johns Hopkins University.
Yeah.
She said we wasn't gonna make it down there in the old house. See, she gave mama the keys.
Mm-hmm.
Brought me home from baby. Mama hit the worst of the birth. I came out helping. All right, Johns Hopkins University. You want to put something in there, you make damn sure you put that in there. February 26th.
February 26th.
1956, I was born. As of yesterday.
The last child?
Yeah, the last child. You don't see no damn more. You don't see no monkeys, do you? Jumping around the well.
Don't just. Ooh.
Yep, you got it. You want it, you got it. And you know one thing? I appreciate this to my heart because I wanted to do something like this in the family.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's real.
Yeah, it's real.
We came up the rough way. Well, y'all came up the rough way.
Yeah.
I caught the end of it.
Yeah, but we did it. You know, we did it. We did it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Stick together always. Don't ever get stupid.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to you as an uncle. You know, every time you get a little mad, I used to go right up on the field each over there by the cherry tree and just chill out.
Mm-hmm.
Now go down Miss Edna one more time. Give you a
we're gonna go this way.
Yeah. So this my school corner. This my bus stop, our bus stop. And our house is right there.
I'm gonna turn around.
Yeah, I'll show you where you turn around. Get this thing. Let me get that knife real quick. Open this thing up.
That's a nice radio.
Goddamn, what it is?
I got some CDs for you too if you want. I got some in advance, some oldies. That's what you like, right?
Yeah.
I got you.
Damn. Hell, sorry. Oh, this man, goddamn motherfucker with me. All right. This man supposed to do something this way, man. Ain't no doubt about it. Better do something. It's going back to the fucking people if you don't. Oh, now, here we go with this part. This goddamn thing. Right. That's the way you come in at. Power button is here.
All right, let's put your CD in.
Right? They say gonna drop them.
I got some CDs for you too, though.
Yeah, but this is mine right here. First one. Oh, wait, now don't wipe your goddamn shit on your pants. You crazy? All right.
This your volume right here.
Yeah, all right, don't be getting all cocky and shit. Whole time.
Got you. Is you ready for that? That's some good music right there.
Yeah. What? Temptation on it?
All that, everything. Everything on there. Go ahead, put one in real fast. You know how you open it, right? Press on that. And you push play. Play right here. See that button? That's play.
That's for this.
No. Push play. That's for the CD. Oh. Right here. Oh. See, you push that. Now it's playing.
That's why I was telling you this fucking thing was tricky. All that go through, that's why I told you was something touch tone.
That's Motown.
Huh? That's the one though, boy.
Huh?
That's Steve. Moving on. I mean, last one. You know, I'm the youngest of the kids.
You the youngest of the 9? How old are you, John?
My birthday was yesterday, man. I'm 61.
Oh, yeah?
1956. February, remember that.
Got it. You only lost one. That was Bubba.
Exactly. This is my father's stone.
Yeah.
I'm going to take some pictures. This is what I'm putting at his grave site when I get it finished. It's not done yet. Wipe it off, too. That's what I'm putting out there at his grave site.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that stone is from right there where he parked his car at for years. He dug it out the ground, tripped over it a few times. I painted already, but I ain't finished.
Okay. Oh, so you painted it black?
Yeah, I'm putting his name and everything, melting nobody, putting his date on it.
Okay.
Yep. I don't mess around, man.
So where you used to park his car?
Right here. Right over here. Right here. Back is right in here. This is spot right here. This was my spot. Right here.
So he used to back it in?
Yeah, because we used to come all the way down. That was open driveway.
Oh, that was the driveway.
Came around and came down, and he backed right in here.
Oh, so where my van at, that's where it...
That way you come around, and I'll close it off.
Okay.
And he parked right here. Yep.
And what was your father's name?
Thomas Matthew Jones.
Okay. Boss.
You're right. That's who.
That's what we call him, the boss.
Yeah, what's going to start that mess? Bubba.
Bubba?
Bubba
that passed away, your brother.
Yeah, Bubba started calling that shit Bubba. He went on with it. Yep. That's all of that.
Now, who house was this right here on the right?
Mitchell.
Who?
Mitchell.
Mitchell.
Eugene Mitchell. Baby boy. That's his nickname. He left this to my father to keep it up.
Okay.
And then I went on and stepped in, and I stepped up.
I'm gone, Unc. I gotta get back to the city. Pick my daughter up. Love you, Unc. Happy birthday. Love you, happy birthday.
Huh?
I said, love you, happy birthday.
Oh, yeah.
How would you feel about moving to the city life?
I would much rather stay in the country any day.
I heard a lot of folks say that.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. Crime is so bad. I would be afraid to live by myself up there. I wouldn't mind living with somebody up there, but I would be afraid to live by myself.
The crime is really high right now.
Yeah.
What news channels do you look at? What's your favorite news channel?
Right now it's Channel 8, but I like Channel 13.
Now, when you left the big house, where did you move to?
Schoolhouse. One room schoolhouse, but they had divided into 3 rooms. There was no running water. I had to carry my water. But I liked being by myself. So I left the big house to the children. And they moved out piece by piece, they moved out. Finally, the man decided to sell the property, and they all had to go. So Johnny went down the bottom with his father in the little house where he's at now. And Tommy got, there he go. I think Tommy moved with Francis for a while till he went to met his girlfriend in Rockville. And she wound up going to Frederick with her grandmother, and Tommy moved with her, and that's where he's still at. David went off to Annapolis. Of course, William was in service. He stayed in South Carolina. And the girls all had apartments.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you transitioned to the schoolhouse, you was there by yourself?
Yeah. And that's when they decided to give me a brand new trailer because the schoolhouse was so cold. So they sold the old one-room schoolhouse to the marina that's down there, and they bought me a brand new trailer and put there.
Where's the marina you talking about? Where's that located?
Down there where the little schoolhouse is now. Like you go in Ideal, that's where the little one-room schoolhouse is.
Okay.
And they put me a brand new 3-bedroom trailer. It wasn't 3-bedroom trailer, it was a 2-bedroom trailer.
That's it right there. You see it right on that nut wheel. You make sure you get that clear. It may not be on Rapn, it cannot be in the whip of that. You just shoot it from where it's at, because you can see from the distance what's happening. That's the schoolhouse where my father went at. Right here from the 4th grade.
Yeah.
Straight to land. No.
So this where Big Mattie was living in here too with the kids, all of y'all?
This second house was.
Yeah.
house that Miss Edna willed to my mother, right here. That's it. Yeah. Right here was where the honeybee nests were, and then people came up and took the honey from this house.
Oh, yeah?
Right there. Yeah, they took the honey from the house. Honeybees, that's Mama. She'll tell you about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many of y'all lived down in that house?
Oh, it wasn't but Mama and Pop. And I stayed with her.
Yeah.
I'll hit my own place. Yep. So you got it.
Got it.
Oh, say amen. Lord, hallelujah.
Huh.
Truth is marching on.
I stayed there till your mother asked me to come up here with her because I couldn't stay by myself no more.
So, when you transitioned from the schoolhouse to the trailer, did you have to pay?
Pay?
Yeah, to live there?
Yeah, they sold the property after I moved in there. I had a lifetime home.
Oh, okay.
They gave me a lifetime home in that trailer. And she wanted me to come up here because I couldn't stay by myself. So the man rented the trailer out again. Other than that, I would have still been there. But it was a lifetime home by the Nutwells.
Who is Nutwell?
That was my landlord. He was the landlord of that big house that they sold.
Mm-hmm.
They were my landlord, and they owned that schoolhouse.
So, was there any other family nearby that lived close to you?
Jamaicans. Charles Baker and his family lived down the bottom from me. Mary Helen. I'm my girlfriend.
She lived close too?
No, but she'd often come by and take me to storing places.
Now, close to the schoolhouse, on that same road, in your early years, did you have a house down that way too? Up on the hill?
Yeah, that was before I moved in the big house. That way we left and come up to the big house where we were farming.
Oh, okay. Who lived up top of the hill in that area?
The Makers, the Barnett's, the Eastons. The 3 families lived on that hill.
Tell us some things about growing up with the kids. Anything you can remember.
Oh, I can remember I had to get up in the morning time and get them all out there and make them go to school. Be there to eat when they come home.
So did your kids like to eat a lot?
Yes, my God. I had to build a big pot on for them.
A big pot of what?
Lima beans, turnips, rice pudding, apple dumpling. I can't remember all that. Coons, possums, baked chicken, turkey, anything I could find.
So did your kids like a lot of wildlife food?
They ate it, but you know, some of them can't remember it. They done ate possum and coon, and they can't remember it. He said, oh, I wouldn't eat that stuff. I wouldn't eat it now either. But they have ate it. When they were small, they ate it.
When did you meet Tom Jones?
Like I said, I met Tom Jones when I was pregnant with your mother.
That's when you met Tom Jones?
He was one of the commonest men I ever had in my life. He was a drinker. He was a heavy drinker.
Oh, he drunk a lot?
Him and his sister. But I got along good with his sisters, with his brother-in-law and all that. I got along good with them, but he was just one of them nasty ones when he drank.
Okay. What did he drink?
All the whiskey he could get, and when that money ran out for whiskey, he drank some kind of wine, red something else. Because that would make him high quick.
Oh, yeah?
And all of them would drink that Big Apple or something else. I don't know what the devil it was.
So when he drunk that,
he did go crazy.
So how did the kids get along with Tom Jones?
Not too good. None of them didn't like him. The boys got along pretty good, but the girls didn't like him.
So back in those days, what was the popular wine to drink, or the popular drink to have a good party with?
It was whiskey and sort of big apple or red apple. Some kind of apple wine they used to drink. I forget what it was. Big apple or something else.
Mm-hmm.
But I never drank it.
Did you drink it all?
I used to drink Wild Arch Rose and Mattie Sherbet and beer.
But you wasn't a heavy drinker?
No.
Light drinker?
My father used to like Mattie Sherbet, take a little glass of Mattie Sherbet.
Mm-hmm. What were some of the medications that y'all used back in the day that would heal real good?
All I can remember is Alka-Seltzer and what else they? There was something my father used to take. It was called Pain King. You ever heard of that?
Never heard of that.
It was a liniment not a liniment, it's something you drink. You take and drink it every day. And Millie might know what it was because she used to buy most of his stuff for him. It's something like a tonic. He used to get that and drink it. I guess that's why he lived so long.
So, when you first had your first child, where did you have your first child at?
46.
46? So back in the days, it wasn't no was it hospitals then?
Oh, yeah.
So how much was it to have your first child? How much did it cost?
I don't know. Something like $100.
$100 to have a baby? And when did you have your first child at?
Cabot Memorial.
Back in the days, they had doctors that came out to your house, right?
No, we didn't have the mama. Great-grandmother was a midwife. She delivered all my brothers and sisters, but not me.
Your mother passed away when you was at a young age, right?
So they say I was 2.
2? What was your mother's last name?
Maynard. She was a Maynard and she married my father.
Okay, so she was a Maynard. So, what would you say about life now? How's everything? How has everything changed?
Everything has changed a lot, and I don't think it'll never be the same.
Never be the same. What you think about Obama as president?
I think he was a good president. I don't have nothing bad to say about him. And I feel the same way about Donald Trump. I didn't vote for him because I wasn't feeling well. But he's in the White House, and I still don't have nothing against him. Let him do his job. That's the way I feel about him. Now, I don't know how nobody else feel about him. I can't speak for other people. But I wish that he would do something about these guns and drugs. If he'd bring the death penalty back tomorrow, I'd vote for him. They're killing too many of our young people. Now they're going killing the old ones.
Yeah, things are out of hand these
So
days.
it's getting out of hand. Building this wall, I don't know what good that's going to do. I don't know. Maybe that'll stop the drugs from coming over here. I don't know. Just don't know what he's going to do.
I have a good question for you. Who was your favorite grandson? Grandchild?
I guess I better say Buck.
But that's a good one.
Yeah, he was my boy. I could ask that boy to do anything and he would do it. I used to ask him to come all the way from Annapolis out here just to fix my breakfast. Sometimes he would fix it and bring it down here with him. And sometimes he'd come in and fix it after he gets here. Something he could cook better than his mother could.
Yeah.
He could cook a steak.
He could cook and potatoes, fried potatoes.
Oh my Lord, yes.
And pancakes.
Yes, sir. He was a good cook anyhow. He stayed with me a lot when I had that trailer. And he would do most of the cooking. I'd buy steaks, 2 for him and 2 for me. And boy, he would cook them steaks and fried potatoes and onion.
So Walter Bryan, a.k.a. Buck, he stayed with you a lot coming up.
He did.
That was your right-hand man right
Yes,
there.
sir.
And the crime and violence that's going on now took his life.
Yeah.
So how you feel about that?
I think it should have never happened, but you know, I always told him. Him and Johnny used to get at it now and then. I told Buck, I said, walk away, don't argue with him. I said, if you go outside, you stay in the house. I said, don't argue with nobody. Walk away. And see, I wasn't around this time to tell him. He was somebody that was woofing. If I only had been there. Lord knows best.
Well, he's in a better place right now.
Yeah, he's in a better place because
God got him.
If that guy hadn't shot him, somebody else was going to do it.
I must go on, cause this is not the end. I'ma see you again. Yeah, I'ma see you again. I reminisce about my
How you doing today?
I'm doing fine, nephew. How you?
I'm good. Could you state your full name?
Mildred Yvonne Jones Johnson Carson.
Okay. And who is your mom?
My mom is Mattie Elizabeth Johnson, formerly Mattie Elizabeth Johnson Maynard.
Okay. How many kids was it growing up in the house?
9 children. Mattie had 3 children when she met my dad, who was Thomas Matthew Jones. I'm number 4 of the 9, and I was born in 1950. And at that time, when Mattie met Tom, she had Calvin, Mary Frances, and Mattie, Virginia. We lived on Trout Branch Road and Tracy's Landing. The first house I remember. It was a 3-room house, a bedroom, big bedroom upstairs, a big open area which served as the kitchen in the second area, and then a bedroom. And I remember the house always being dark because they always kept curtains and stuff at the windows to keep out the cold. And I thank my older brothers and sisters, Francis did and Calvin, because they took care of the 6 of us, because my parents worked a lot. You know, they weren't home that much. And they provided to make sure we had what we need. And I remember back then we had a bread man called the Barn Bread Truck. It was a truck that delivered bread every Wednesday. And he would leave us a tray of bread, and that was the best bread. And so we would have buttered bread sandwiches and tomatoes out of the garden. And that was so good to us. Because my father was a sharecropper. He worked all the time in the tobacco fields and the barns and working for Mr. Wash Network. And my mom, during the day, she cleaned houses for all the white folks that lived down on the shore, which now they call High View, which is back down by the marina on the water. And the old Miss Edna Network, who was the owner of the farm. During that time, you know, to provide for 9 kids, you really need to have, you know, more than just a house cleaning job. So my mom worked for Elam Tobacco Warehouse in Upper Marlboro at night. So that's why I say Calvin and Francis did, and they really looked out for us younger 6. Because Mama worked at the tobacco barn at night, and we didn't see her again until the morning. And then morning time, she had to rest up and then go work again. But those were the times, you know, when we all bonded together, sisters and brothers. We had a spring down the hill that had the best fresh water. And you could go down there on any morning at the crack of the dew, and you would see a frog sitting on the edge, you know, chirping. But that water was always cold and good. We had farm trees, apple trees that used to have big, nice apples. We had everything we needed. Blackberries, apples, gardens. So we didn't go hungry. In fact, we all grew up nice and fat and healthy. So we all attended Friendship Elementary School in Friendship, Maryland. My mom always made sure our hair was combed. We had clothes. We had gym suits, tennis shoes, the things that we were required to have. You know, we didn't have a lot, but we had, you know, good stuff. Sometimes we would take our brown bag lunch. Most of the time we took a brown bag lunch. But sometimes we didn't have no tuna fish or no spam or no luncheon meat. Sometimes we had biscuits with peanut butter and K-Roll syrup. You know, and I would keep my sandwich inside my bag and pinch up in the bag to eat mine because I didn't want nobody to see what I had. But, you know, sometimes we got to buy lunch. Lunch was 35 cents. And you could smell that food cooking in the cafeteria. You in the 2nd grade, and you smell that corn and stuff with the butter. It was some kind of good. And milk was a nickel. And the teacher would come around in the morning, you raise your hand, who buying milk? And then when it was time for lunch, she would go and come in the room with a tray, raise your hand, everybody just getting the milk. So most of the time we had our milk, because back then we didn't have, you know, free lunches. Everybody had to pay, you know, a quarter, nickel, or something. So then after we had elementary school, which was a fine upbringing, nice school, all African-American school, you know, black teachers, black kids, you know, so we did well. Then when you graduated there, you went straight to junior high, which back then we were bused to Annapolis. You know, we had Stanton Middle School, which was down there on West Washington Street. And then after you left there, you went to Bates High School, which was out there in Parole. So I never really went to Bates, but my siblings did. Because once I got through the 7th grade, that's when segregation came into play. And we had to go to Southern High School. Well, nevertheless to say, that was an experience in itself because they weren't used to us and we weren't used to them. So when this rough got going, we got rough right with them. But anyway, you know, those are times that we had to deal with. And then as time went on, everything mellowed itself out. You know, we graduated and we were good kids. But I want to elaborate a little bit back on my mom and dad and when we grew up in what we call the big house. The big house was when in 1956, around that time, we moved from that little 3-room house up there to a house that had 4 bedrooms upstairs, 1 bedroom downstairs, a front porch, and 2 back porches. We had 2 pantries. We had a pump out back that we would pump for water. We had a big garden. My dad had pigs. He had chickens. We had a meat house, and we had 2 outhouses. The house came with electricity, but they did not have any plumbing. So we managed, you know, my mom in the morning, we all had a big soup pot full of oatmeal. Everybody had oatmeal before we went to school. Everybody had lunches. And my mom would can everything. That pantry was full. Tomatoes, applesauce, pears. She even canned sausage, rabbits. Everything that garden could grow, my mother would can it. And then besides what she canned in the pantry, my dad was a good farmer, excellent farmer. He planted everything from squash, watermelons, beets, carrots, lettuce, tomatoes, everything that you could want. And then at the end of this harvesting season, he would dig a big hole in that same garden and he would produce something called a kill. The kill was where he would dig a big hole down, I guess 6 feet, 5 feet, line it with straw. He would put his sweet potatoes, turnips, white potatoes, carrots, cabbage, beets, whatever he could put in there, layers down, and then he would layer it again, cover it with dirt. When the summers come, when the weather was cold, he'd go out there on Saturday evening, dig up a couple of them nice turnips or beets or sweet potatoes, whatever, cabbage. And then we, like I said, we had chickens. My mom would tell them, go catch one. And they would catch one. She'd take it on the wood pile, take the little hatchet, cut his head off, twist it, scald him with hot water, pick the feathers, and that was the meat for Sunday. Mama always had cabbage, ham, chicken, beets, and buttermilk. We churned our own milk. My mom made her own butter. Old Mr. Washington had horses and the cows. So we would get the milk from the cows. She'd give my mom some. Because when you had 9 kids and lived on a farm, they all would make sure that the little colored kids had something to eat. Christmas time to make sure we had gifts. So my mom and dad was what you would call true farmers. You know, 9 kids, none of us went hungry, none of us got sick. And if we did, they knew how to take care of us. So I give thankful for them, for what they did. And thanks to my 3 older siblings for looking after us when we were young. But those were good times, and we lived there until we got grown. And we lived at the big house. Because everybody wanted to come up to Miss Mattie's house. Every weekend, Mama had a house full of people. This one guy we named Cabbage, because every Sunday he would come up my mother's house because he wanted some cabbage. And he knew that Nana had cabbage every Sunday. And her 7 oldest grandkids was born right there while we lived there in the big house. That was Nita, Petey, Tabby, Leslie, Pudney, Tammy, and Monica. Those were the 7 grandkids that was born and raised and grew up around the big house with us. Then after we all got grown, you know, Nana decided that she wanted to leave the big house because the rest of them, some of the children became, you know, in their own world, doing their own thing, and Nana wanted peace and quiet then. That's when we're going to go over to when Miss Mattie transitioned down to the little schoolhouse. You know, Mr. Jim Travel used to live in the schoolhouse. That was still owned by Miss Edna Network. But Miss Jim Travel was the black guy who helped sharecropped on the farm and told everything that went on. Mattie children doing this. Mattie children ate up a whole field of horse corn. Everything that went on, he was the snitch. He'd go back there and tell the old white lady what we was doing. So anywho, he had a car. My mama never had a car, didn't never drive. So whenever we need to go to the store, whatever, Miss Jim was taking us to the store, and we would, one of us every Friday out of the 9 would have a chance to go to the store. So at 2 o'clock, we would start looking in the closet, finding clothes to put on, trying to shine ourselves up, and then to get our soda bottles, go out to the pump, wash them soda bottles with a baby bottle washer, clean the dirt out of them, because some of them we had got out the bushes was all dirty. So every soda bottle you got, you had like a nickel coming to you. So anywho, back in when my mom was 67 years old, that's when she moved to the old schoolhouse to get away from some of her sons that was driving her crazy. Not to mention the names of them, but this is a picture of the old schoolhouse. It was a one-room schoolhouse that my mother went to when she was a child. She went to the 4th grade in this particular schoolhouse. Actually, the schoolhouse was more than one room. It had 3 rooms in it. Because when my mom moved there, we would go there and eat and have a good time. My mom had a bedroom, then there was another room that she just kept junk in. And then it was the big open room where she had the kitchen and the TV and everything in one big room. And we would go down there on Sundays and we would eat, and she would have all of us stacked in that little house. I don't know how we all got in there, but we got in there. And she lived there for a while. We picnic and party. I got pictures where we all cooked out. Me and Levi and the kids would go down there and party, grill up on Sundays, and we just would have us a ball. There was plenty of land. So I had plenty of birthday parties down there. And so then, that's when back in, I want to say 1979, after old Miss Edna passed away, Gene and Billy became the executors of the estate for the Nutwells. So that's when Gene and Billy decided that they were going to sell the old schoolhouse to Stuart Cheney, and they were going to give my mom a trailer and give her a chance to have some running water, electricity, a toilet, washing machine, dryers, and all of that before she, you know, left this world. But needless to say, she'll be 92 in July 25th, she'll be 92, and she's still kicking. So she got a chance to enjoy her trailer for many years. And now she lives in another trailer with her 3rd oldest child, Mattie, Virginia, at Wason's Corner. Growing up in the country was wonderful. You know, we had a good life, and I'm glad we didn't have that city life. Because, you know, we probably half of us wouldn't be here right now if we did. But my dad had a saying. He said, when that school bus come down here, your black ass better get on it. And when that school bus come get back down here in the evening, your black ass better be on it.
Right.
And that's what we live by. You went to school, you came home, you did your chores, you looked at TV, and we did have a telephone, so we take turns on our little Blue Princess telephone waiting for somebody to call us. So, you know, as we got older, we had little things in life. We had the school dances and stuff. And it was good. And I thank them for what they did, brought us up, and it was hard. So that's my take on living in the big house.
How you doing today?
Great.
Could you introduce yourself?
Mattie Virginia White, better known as Diddy.
Okay. So then, you're Mattie's Johnson child?
Third oldest.
Third oldest?
Daughter.
Okay. And what was your nickname again?
Didn't.
Okay, Didn't. Okay, Didn't. How was it growing up as a young kid in the house with your brothers and sisters, your siblings?
Growing up was pretty rough. We didn't have much. Came from a poor family. Well, it was 9 of us. So we managed through it all.
Mm-hmm. What were some of the things y'all ate coming up?
Well, we had our own garden. My parents always had their own garden. They grew their own food. There wasn't no fast food, no McDonald's, Wendy's, of that sort. Everything was home cooked at home. Vegetables straight out of the garden. They raised their own pigs, and they had to slaughter the pigs, and we had to clean the chitlins and cook the ham, and we had beans, homemade biscuits. We had to make homemade biscuits every day. My mother made homemade biscuits. So our meal consists of maybe 1 big pot of soup that fed 9 of us and biscuits. Sundays we got a big dinner. On Sundays we would have cabbage, ham, potato salad, hot biscuits.
Sound like a good meal.
We ate good. We was healthy kids because we mostly ate what was home cooked food.
What's name of food that you didn't like?
The only thing I didn't like was the black molasses. My mother would make us eat black molasses sandwiches. So I didn't care too much for the black molasses.
What was one of your favorite foods?
My most favorite food was potato salad. It was homemade potato salad.
Homemade potato salad. What were some of the remedies if you guys caught a cold or got sick? What would you use for a cold?
Well, we drank a lot of homemade tea with lemon. My mother would always put a nice big pot of homemade soup on. We ate the soup. We didn't get too sick. We didn't battle too much sickness in those days. Mm-hmm. I think it was because of our diet. We ate a lot of fruit from the fruit trees that grew around the house. Our own apples, pears, blackberries, raspberries. We picked fruit that was grown by nature. So very seldom were we sick kids.
Did you have a lot of candy in those days? Sweets, goodies?
Yeah, we had the BB bats, the Mary Janes, the squirrel nuts, candy, and mostly lollipops.
Interesting. How was it, when did you discover or realize that you were in poverty with no electric or running water? What age did you discover you realized that?
I was probably about, I'd say 6, 7 years old. We grew up in a house. We had no running water. We had no electric. We had a wood stove. During that time, we had to go out and my brothers would have to cut the wood and bring in just to start the fire, just to keep warm, especially in the winter. And we mostly cooked on the wood stove to keep warm. We had the lamp light. You had to keep the oil in the lamp so you could have light. And sometimes we used candles. We burned candles for light. And of course, we had an outhouse out back. We didn't have no running water, so we had to go outside the outhouse, or we bought the bucket in the house. Back in those days, they called it the slop bucket.
Slop bucket.
The slop bucket. That's what we had to use. And then somebody had to get up the next day and dump the slop bucket. So you take it down in the woods and dump the slop bucket and bring it back for the next day.
So far as taking a bath or washing up, what do you use?
We had the basin, which if you go into the antique shops today, you'll still see some of the old basins that we used to use back in the day to take a bath, and you would just fill the basin up with water, sit it on the wood stove, heat up the water, get a wash rag, and you washed up. There was no bathtubs. There was no shower. There was no running water. But yet we stayed clean.
So far as schooling, how was it waking up in the morning and going to the bus stop?
The house would be cold, but we managed to get up and get dressed, and we had to walk like a mile to catch the bus. And I remember the days when I used to dread the wintertime, because in the wintertime it would be so cold. By the time we would get to the bus stop, we'd be frozen. And we had the lady, after we walked a mile to the bus stop, we had a lady who would always knew we was coming to her house, because she knew we was coming there to get warm. And we would go to her house, and of course she had the wood stove. And of course, if you was too cold, if you got too close to the old wood stove, you would start aching. Your hands would ache, your feet would ache, because the heat would cause, by you being so cold, you would begin to ache when you was trying to thaw out. And right now, that house is still standing down in Tracy's Landing, where we used to go to get warm in the morning. And I remember my sister Mildred would be the main one crying. By the time we get to the bus stop, Mildred would be the one bust out crying. I used to try to be so strong. Even though I was cold, I wouldn't let nobody know I was so cold. I wanted to cry, but I didn't cry.
So Mildred couldn't take it. She would bust
Mildred
out crying.
always would be the one. By the time we got to the bus stop, nose was running, and she'd bust out crying.
So that house is still standing now?
House is still standing down on Franklin Gibson Road.
What was some things y'all did for recreation, for playtime?
Only thing we did was go outside and play. We play hide and go seek, jump rope, or dodgeball. That was our only recreation. Your recreation during those days was go outside, and we'd play as kids together. We'd play with the neighbor kids.
So who do you think was the goodest child and who was the baddest child?
Well, of all the girls, I was the baddest girl. I was always mischievous. I was the fighter. And if you look up my name, Mattie, that's what it stands for, fighter. I would say my oldest brother, Bubba, who's now deceased, he was the baddest of all of us. He was the one who would get the gun on you.
Okay, so he went for bad.
Yeah, he went for bad.
Okay. More like the protector of the family.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So, could you run down how was growing up in segregation, how it was?
Well, during our time, I actually lived through the segregation time, where I lived to see white only written over the restaurant doors in Deal, Maryland. And as black folks, we were not allowed to walk in the front door of the restaurant and sit down and eat with the white people. We had to go around the back door to be served. As time went on, I come to realize that, God said he winks at our ignorance. And I realized that it was just ignorance, because we were allowed, as black folk, we were allowed to work in their kitchens and cook their food that they were going to consume in their bodies, but we weren't allowed to come in and sit down beside them and eat their food. And what God showed me was, as black folk, we really have good hearts. Because if we were really evil and wicked people, we could have killed a number of them any given day because we could have poisoned them all through their food. They trusted us to cook their food, but they didn't trust us to sit down beside them and eat with them. To me, that was ignorance. I'd rather sit down and eat beside a person and be able to watch a person than have a person in the kitchen behind closed doors cooking for me. So God said he winked at their ignorance because that was just a sign of ignorance. Even though today, we credit Martin Luther King because he was the one who fought to conquer the greatest demon on earth, which was segregation. He conquered that demon. And now that's why today we can sit together as all races and eat together and love one another and marry one another and have kids together because he fought and conquered that demon. But during that time, as black folk, we were more fearful than anything because it wasn't in our heart to harm anybody or hurt anybody. We couldn't understand why. But as I got older, I realized that it was just a form of ignorance. But thanks be to God that we have come a long ways through Martin Luther King and his dream and what he set out to conquer. And he did conquer that demon because he said he had a dream that one day we would all be holding hands together, and we're living that today. As I speak, we're living it.
I can't wait. 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 I can't wait.
So how did that affect your schooling and getting your education?
Well, we weren't allowed, during that time, we weren't allowed to go to the white school. Matter of fact, we were bused from Trace's Landing all the way to, but we went to friendship school as little kids through grade school, but as we got in the 7th grade, we were bused, and they took us past the white school. We had to go all the way to base junior high, base senior high during that time, and we went to the old annex school down on Clay Street. It wasn't until my last year in high school, which I went to Bates up until the 11th grade, and my last year, my 12th grade year, that's when it all changed and we were bused to Southern Senior High. So I did my last year in the white school, and I did really good, which I was amazed. I did really good in the white school. I graduated with as an honor society student, which was great. I had to adjust because I had been in a black school with all black kids all my life and did my last year with the white kids, but I did really well for the change. And I did get my high school diploma and I graduated.
What age did you have your first child?
I was 21 years old when I had my first son.
And what area were you living in then?
I was living in Trace's Landing on Franklin Gibson Road.
So from your beginning of time as a young girl, what was your first house that you lived in?
The first house that I remember living in was down on Franklin Gibson Road. Actually, right now, there's Charles Maker lives in the house, lives on the land where we used to live, but that house was an old house with no running water, no bath, no electric in it. And then eventually we moved not even a half a mile from there into, we called it the Bighouse. This house had electric, but it didn't have any running water and bath in it. So we did moved up a little bit higher. We did have electric in this next house we moved in, just no electric, no running water, no bath. We had a pump in the backyard where we had to go out and we had to pump, take the bucket out there and pump the water to and bring the water in. And we had a wood stove for heat. so there wasn't no central heating either. But this house had 7 rooms. So it was a big house because it was 9 of us. My mother had 9 kids, so it was a big house. We had a nice big yard. We had an outhouse out back, like I said, and pump for water. And my stepfather raised the pigs in the backyard, down in the backyard, which was for food. And we had a garden for where they grew the vegetables.
So would you say that the big house was your favorite house?
Yeah, we loved the big house. Matter of fact, we had parties there. We threw our parties there. We had plenty of room, plenty of space. My mother did a lot of canning of the vegetables and fruits. Of course, we had a pantry where we kept all our canned fruit, applesauce, peaches, pears, and that's what we lived off in the wintertime. When wintertime came, we pulled out the canned food, fruits and stuff to eat.
So, how did you and your siblings have party time? What did y'all do for, like, going out as y'all got older teenage years? Where would you go and party at?
Well, after we got old enough, we always went to River Bend Inn, which is in Wason's Corner, to party on the weekends, or we went to Evans Grill, which is in Forestville, Maryland. Some weekends we went to Collars, that's down in Calvert County. We went to Toys Inn, that's down below Prince Frederick. And some nights we'd go to Moonlight Inn, that's in Waldorf, Maryland.
Okay. So, I know it was 4 girls and 5 guys. Did your brothers hang along with y'all?
Very seldom. Most of the time the girls hung together. Very seldom did my brothers go out with us. We had one cousin that was junior, Bowser Johnson Jr. Now, he hung out with us to protect us. Junior was our protector.
Okay. What was your first car?
My first car was a Vega, V-E-G-A, which we called them lawnmowers because that's all they were. Was a Vega.
So how did you come up with the income to get a Vega?
Well, I always kept a job. Matter of fact, I started working when I was 12 years old. I would go to the white people house up the street and clean. If they had parties, I'd be there, help serve people, help clean up the kitchen. And I also worked in the restaurants. I would cook in the restaurants, and I always saved up my money. At the age of 16, I always had like $500 in my savings account. And during that time, $500 was a lot of money. Matter of fact, back then, $500 could buy you a home. But I always kept $500 in the bank because I always worked and saved up my money.
So you was a hustler, huh?
Yeah, I was a hustler. Starting at 12 years old, I was hustling.
And you went on to further your job skills into which field?
Well, eventually, as time went on, I eventually moved to Annapolis. And I decided I wanted to further my education, so I went to Fleet Business School. And I graduated from Fleet Business School. I took up the secretarial course. I left Fleet Business School typing 70 words per minute. From Fleet Business School, I got hired at the Board of Education down on River Road in Annapolis. I was a switchboard operator there. From the Board of Education, I went on to work at MAIF, Maryland Automobile Insurance Fund, and I I retired there after 20 years. I did 20 years at the Maryland Automobile Insurance Fund, and I'm currently now retired from the state of Maryland.
In between the transitioning of jobs, when did you have your second child?
After I went to Fleet School for Secretaries. I had my second child before I went to Fleet School for Secretaries. I was living in Harbor House in Eastport. And I decided I wanted to further my education, and I signed up and I got the grant to go to school. Actually, I didn't have to pay for anything. I didn't pay for paper. I didn't have to pay for pencils. I didn't have to pay for ink pens. They gave me the grant. I took advantage of it, and I went to Fleet Business School. During that time, I had just had my second son. And in the morning, I got up and I walked him to Eastport Terrace to the babysitter. And then I would catch the bus and go to Fleet School for Secretary, which then at that time was on Chickapin Round Road in Annapolis.
So how many kids do you have?
2 sons.
Names?
Walter Bryan Jr., known as Buck. And my youngest is Bryan-Queen, better known as Ron.
So, growing up as a kid, I know in the household, kids like to be kids, some good, some bad. How was chastisement when y'all got in trouble? What was your punishment?
Well, if my mother came home from work, because usually she'd walk home from work, and if she caught us doing anything that she felt was inappropriate, my mother would send us we had to go get our own switch off the tree. And when we went to get our own switch off the tree, she would give us a good beating. Of course, we would always try to get the shortest switch with the less prongs on it. And most of the time, sometime we got punished. We went to bed with no dinner. That was another punishment. Instead of beating us, she sent us to bed with no dinner. So we wouldn't get any dinner that night.
She's eating ass up. She lit Francie a couple times. Them cherry switches.
Mm-hmm.
Shit. Boy, you just don't know. Tear your fucking ass up.
That's what she did.
Shit.
With the switches?
Cherry switches, motherfucker. That's a cherry tree right there by you.
Okay.
Just sitting by you. Them motherfucking switches would tell Bubba go out there get them switches. They acting up easy. Mm-hmm.
That what they did?
I told them this and that. And they come there late. They come there late. Mom told them be home by 12.
Mm-hmm.
When I look, Diddy Daddy, and all that Daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, how to say howdy dowdy. Shit, they come there, Mama. They come there at 12:30. Didn't she? Francie, I told you. Look, Mama in that motherfucking baby room, dude, waiting.
Waiting for him to come in.
Shit, you don't fucking know, do you?
Nuh-uh.
Mama in the baby room waiting.
What, she had the switch?
Shit, what the fuck you talking about? My motherfucking cherry switchy boy that fucking long. So you never hit none of them on your ass. Look at how long I'm talking about. That long.
Great nip.
From the skinny end to the fat end. Whop! Whop! Woo! I'm sorry. Yeah,
What did they say, Mama? I'm sorry.
Goddamn right, your mother. Shit, got Frank's ass first, then your mother. Tore their ass up. I mean, look, right on from up around the neck to the ass. Their ass up. Heard them step. Sound like a couple of hogs coming upstairs. Yeah, Kyler did it. Shit, no, you know what I say? Next morning, they down there, licking their wound. I told your damn ass. And shit, Mom better not hear them cursing.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, shit, that's some more, that's some more.
But most of the time, we try to be good kids. You know, with so many of us, 9 of us, we had our little fights. You know how kids go, brothers and sisters gonna fight. So we had our little pillow fights and had our little arguments. And
So how was it growing up when your mom had to take in her sister's kids, your cousins? How was the relationship and how did y'all get along?
well, we all got along fine, even though it was a lot of us. You know, having my aunt's kids living with us. I was glad to have them because I never really knew them until their mother passed and they came to live with us. We did a lot together, especially me and Emma Jean. She was the oldest girl. I can remember the night that their mom passed away. I had been out on a date, and I came home, and I noticed all these cars were in our yard, and I was wondering that time in the morning why was all those cars in the yard, and I didn't realize until I got out and the car and went in the house, and my mother told me that my Aunt Emma had passed away. And the next morning, I remember the next morning, my mother wanted to go up to the house where my aunt lived, where she died at. And of all my mother's kids, she took me with her. And this was in Davidsonville. And of course, when we went to the house the next day, we went upstairs where my aunt had passed. She had actually hemorrhaged to death. And I still remember she had bled so much that the blood had ran from upstairs, down the wall, downstairs. And that was like a nightmare in my mind for a long time. And I never understood why my mother, of all her children, why did she take me with her? And I had to see that. But I loved my cousins. We had a good relationship. My mother made sure they ate, made sure they were clothed, and we never felt deprived because they were there, because they were all family. They were our blood. And by their mother passing away at an early age, they were just young kids and they needed a home. They needed love and attention, and my mother gave them just that.
How was it growing up in the home with your stepfather?
Well, it was hard because my stepfather was an alcoholic. He drank a lot. And most of the time when he came home drunk, he wanted to fight my mother and fight us. So as we started getting a little older, we kind of like prepared for him because we knew he was coming home drunk, and we knew when he came home drunk he was going to fight us or fight my mother. So most of the time my mother would just go outside and stay outside. We'd be in the house in bed or whatever, or if she wasn't home, he would fight us. So we started gathering our little weapons for him before he came home drunk. Of course, where we lived, we could see him walking down the highway before he got to the house. So we would gather our bats, our balls, whatever we was going to use to tackle him with. So one time we put pans, all of us put pans in the back of our pants, because he would always take us and beat us with his hands, take us around a circle and beat us. So we all put our pans in the back of our pants. So when he started beating us on our butts, he was hitting the pans. He wasn't hitting our butts, he was getting our pans. So at night, when he would come home, if we were in the bed, if he came in there at night drunk and we was upstairs in the bed, he would come up the steps after us. So this one particular night, we had all our weapons stored waiting for him. We had bats. We had balls. My brother Dee took a globe and struck him side his head with a globe. And I remember the one night he came in drunk, and I was just fed up. I said, I'm tired of this. I said, I'm tired of him fighting us. I'm tired of him fighting my mother. I got up out the bed. I had a vase. I ran downstairs with the vase. I threw the vase at him.
The fighter.
Yeah, the fighter. That's what they called me, the fighter. I threw the vase at him. And when he came I missed him, but when he came at me, I ran in the front yard, but I fell in the front yard and I rolled till my feet hit the road. And when my feet hit the road, I ran all the way to Deal, Maryland in the middle of the night by myself. That's how fed up I was with him fighting my mother and fighting us when he came in drunk. But the only time he fought us when he was drunk. Whenever he was sober, he would sit home and watch TV. You didn't know he was in the house. And I was young at the time, so I didn't understand why the change. But as I got older, I realized what the change was. That's when I began to see how alcohol could change a person's whole demeanor from good to bad. Because it was actually the alcohol that was causing him to be like that. Because when he was sober, he wouldn't even fight us. You didn't even know he was in the house. He was just quiet. But the alcohol would bring out the bad side of him.
So in his later years, did he change a lot?
Well, as he began to get older, he eventually came down with TB from the drinking, which is a lung disease, and they put him away. He was put away at Mount Wilson because during that time, TB was contagious, and they had to get him out of the home from around us. We all had to be tested, but we all tested negative, but they put him away in Mount Wilson. He stayed there for so many months. And when they released him, he came back home to my mother, and he quit drinking, and he was a whole new man. Matter of fact, when we were younger, we used to say the day that my mother got rid of him, we was gonna try to jump and touch the ceiling. That used to be our saying, because the house had a high ceiling. We said when he leave this house, we're gonna jump and touch the ceiling. And the day came when he actually left, and we felt so free. And we felt, during that time, we lived in a lot of fear. Because when he came in drunk to attack my mother, some nights I would go in the closet and just put the pillows to my ears, because I would say, I don't want to, if he killed my mother, I didn't want to hear her hollering, because he would always threaten to kill my mother when he was drinking like that. And I would go in the closet and put pillows to my ears, because if I didn't want to hear my mother cries if he killed her. Plus, he would go and get the shotgun at my mother sometime. She'd bust the front window out of his car, because he wouldn't let her in the house, and he'd go and get the shotgun, or he would set the house on fire. And we'd be upstairs scared to death because we had that wood stove, and he would pack the stove full of wood, and in those old houses, you could hear the fire roaring up the chimneys. And of course, we'd be upstairs, we could hear it coming up the chimney. So we would be afraid that he was going to set the house on fire. And one time, he did set it on fire. And we all had to run outside in the night. So living in the house with an alcoholic was very terrifying. It was a very terrifying experience.
So, being still you're one of the kids that moved to the city, what was the change from transition from the county life to the city life?
Well, leaving from the country and all that I had experienced in the home, when I moved into Annapolis, I really didn't like what I felt in Annapolis City when I first moved there. And from that point, after moving there, I finally was introduced to a nice church that was walking distance to where I was living. And upon being introduced to the church, which was Antioch, the Apostolic Church, and going to that church, and I got baptized and received the Holy Ghost, and that's when my whole life changed.
So where do you live now?
Right now, I'm here in Wason's Corner. I'm back in the country, which I never thought that I would wind up moving back to the country, because I was born and raised in the country, but I love it here. I love it here because it's peaceful, it's quiet, my mother feels safe. I can leave her here. She still feels safe. She doesn't battle any fear. We don't have a lot of crime in this area, breaking and entering and that sort of stuff. To me, it's like living in heaven. We don't have a lot of murders and all that kind of stuff going on, and robberies in this area. It's a nice area to live in.
So how do you feel about the crime right now?
Well, since I just lost my oldest son was murdered in Annapolis. And it's been kind of rough and hard for me losing my son, because he was at a point in his life where he was really just trying to be a good father to his two sons, and finally had got his own place to live, and he was doing so well and looked like his life was snuffed out. But right now, the main thing I would say to our young, especially our young black men right now, is, for years we've labeled the Ku Klux Klan as white, and we always felt like they were out to take the blacks out. But now, to me, what I would say, let the truth be told, the real Ku Klux Klans are among my own black brothers. They're killing each other. We don't have to worry about a Ku Klux Klan taking a black brother out nowadays. They're taking each other out, and it's time for our young black men to wake up and realize what they're doing to each other. And the Bible says there's going to be 7 men to 1 woman. There's going to be 7 women to 1 man. And there's going to be some truth in that, because right now we're losing our black men at a rapid rate. And if the black race don't wake up and realize what they're doing to each other, actually we're showing each other that we hate one another. We hate our own race. So my thing is, it's time to pray for our black brothers, that their eyes will be open and they'll get a grip on life and realize that only God is the answer right now. Only He can change their lives and help us to love one another all over again, because we're really hating on each other.
Get the information from Aunt Doris and them, how many children the ones that was living. Uncle Kenner had, and then Basil. Uncle Ernest didn't have none. Aunt Doris had 1. And Emma had 8, because she lost 1. Mama had 9. That's about it. I was just trying to get everything together. How old they was when they died, and everything like that.
Mm. I knew you probably wouldn't have one of Emma.
Nope, Aunt Emma died 1977, because that was the same Saturday she died. She was supposed to come and see Monty, and she had drank herself to death. And never did. Then when we did not come, we thought it was Aunt Emma coming. I said, this late in the night, but she was supposed to be bringing me a Viewmaster.
What's that?
The little things you used to look through and click the button.
Oh, the old toys, yeah.
I always loved them things. And she was supposed to be bringing me one. Back room, you had 1, 2, 3. And you could get 3 beds, 3 big double beds in that room and a single bed. So the back bedroom went all the way across the length of the house. So you could get more than 1 double bed in there. shoot, you survived back then.
Mm-hmm.
And you figured mama cooking for all them children. For all them children, mama had to cook.
So everybody was sleeping everywhere.
You was sleeping in a bed. You wasn't sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
The boys had their room, and then the girls had their room.
Mm-hmm.
No, you made do.
Mm-hmm.
You made do. Everybody had a bed to sleep in. You ain't sleep on the floor, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. So Calvin was still upstairs. Well, Calvin ain't had no kids then.
No, we was all home.
Yeah.
Let me see.
At what age did you leave?
I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always at a car. And then Uncle Baz would come in his old gray Packard.
Where he was living at during that time?
Mitchellville.
Oh yeah, where that's at? That's
Mitchellville or Lothian too.
Okay.
Towards the later
Mm-hmm.
years, he was living in Lothian. Mitchellville is up 301.
Okay, that's right.
Mm-hmm. But those were the good old days, though, because you could have fun, you could run, you had to stay, you could go outside.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had to worry about locking your doors.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot. It was fun, because you could always find something to do outside. Marbles.
Mm-hmm.
Play jacks.
Right, the monkey vines.
Mm-hmm.
The vines like Tarzan swing on.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Then they said she used to work for Grandpa or something. She'd make $2. She said, "Know what? I had to give him one of them." So what y'all used to do with this?
On your clothes.
Wow.
Sit it on top of that wood stove.
And let it heat up?
And get it hot.
Oh, wow. Look at it.
That's all right. Didi ain't been back yet, has he? And then we take the lock off.
No, I push it all the way so it locked me.
I did.
You did?
You clicked.
The food been good? Food good here?
Tastes like this.
Huh?
It tastes like this.
Yeah. It looked like it looked alright. It looked good. They say they want you to drink more, then
Yeah, I know.
drink more fluids. They got you all type of drinks right now. Milk, tea. They got you milk, tea, and something else, ain't it?
They give you this every meal.
Every meal. Okay, the milk. They keep your bowels going. Yeah, they say it's supposed to get black at 2 o'clock in the day.
When is
Monday.
we'll see.
That's what I said. That's what you said. That's the same thing I said. I said, we'll see. Because I'm like, God ain't do nothing. I ain't never see God do nothing like that. You? Not your days you been living, huh? They say at 2 o'clock Monday, the sun, something supposed to come over the sun like.
Cloudy.
Yeah, but they say it's supposed to get pitch black dark like it's nighttime. 2 o'clock in the daytime. We ain't never had nothing like that. So there's only y'all 3 boys left. You, Johnny, and Calvin.
It was today, except that the number is different.
You know that.
The only thing that
Yeah.
There's 3 of y'all left.
But now they done went up to $156. And I went on and checked on and said some kind of utility rate went up, said everybody went up, Mr. Jones. Then I was getting 97 hours for food stamps. They cut them back to $60. They said some, yeah, said that she told me I went down welfare bill, said, Mr. Jones, they cut a decrease in everybody's stamp. They claim by them people down there in the United States helping out your Mexican people and they had that hurricane and government down there. Yeah, they're down there taking care of them people. Them people ain't no care to us.
They cut Johnny's shoe.
Yeah, they cut Johnny's shoe?
Yeah. She told me the woman on welfare bill and I went down there 2 weeks ago and she said, Mr. Jones, they cut a decrease in everybody. Everybody. Mm-hmm. You know, I would, but see, I go to 3 different churches.
Well, show me churches you
Yeah, mm-hmm.
The Lighthouse do too.
I went over there last Tuesday. Woman paid me wrote me a $128 check on my liquor bill, and she gave me a whole bunch of food out the kitchen. With big bowls like that, coleslaw, potato salad, 2 great big rolls of hamburger. Gave me so much stuff I couldn't even told all of it. And everything is. See, over that way I live at, there's 2 churches though. You can go to one of them every Tuesday. And then you can't go every Tuesday you can go there. You gotta go there early in the morning, you sign in, and they let you in about 11 o'clock, 12 to 11. And they give you bread, canned goods, sometimes they have meat, sausage, and hot dogs.
They give you cash too?
No, they don't give you no money. They used to years ago, most of them churches don't stop.
My father, he go over to the Lighthouse and get the food over there.
Oh yeah, you can go there, but you gotta make an appointment there.
Yeah.
And they'll give you 2 bags of groceries, and different stuff they give. Then but they got a pantry that they keep open and going in. Went out there and probably with a month ago, man. They give you vegetables, cookies, a whole bunch of bread, a whole bunch of stuff. One say, take everything you want to. What they don't give away, they're gonna throw it in the trash anyway. And then you got 1 ounce. It's for 7 different churches you can go to.
I think a hurricane came through, well, that wind was strong. The first time I seen that, you know, you see stuff like that when a hurricane comes through, but you know.
You like it? It's alright. A little something, something.
for the residents of South and Randall County. My condolences are sent to her beloved family and friends. Presented on the 17th day of July 2018 by Senator John Aston of Anne Arundel Randall County Legislative District. Again, tomorrow's General Assembly Memorial, be it hereby known to all that sincerest sympathy is extended to the family of Mattie Johnson. She was a lifelong member of Anne Arundel County. In her 92 years, she touched many lives in her community and will show years. Presented on this 28th day of July 2018 by Delegate Seth Powers, the Anne Arundel County Legislative District 3rd. I've been knowing the family for many years, down through the years. My mother, the late Margaret Joyce, and many people call her sister, for over 50-some years. And she did this fatty hair many times Mildred Hare, and the rest of the family. Family, I come to bring you love from the Dorsey family.